It's Innkeep Developer Diary number 7. Um, yeah, disappeared somewhere for 7 or 8 months. I burnt myself out a bit, I think, probably working too hard. But I never forgot about the game. I've really always wanted to get back to it, and so I did a lot of work behind the scenes. Made a bunch of improvements over that time, and then since I've been on holiday, I've really started to get back into it. So it's time for another diary to show you what's going on and what's new. So yeah, basically something that happened back in May, just a few weeks after I released the last one, number 6, is that I really ran into a bottleneck actually with a lot of stuff to do with like pathfinding. I mean, anyone who has seen earlier videos, you'll know that pathfinding was a big issue, and basically that was just really causing me a lot of hassle, so I really got bogged down there. And in the end, I just had to scrap everything and rewrite it, based on what I'd learned so far. And I came up with an entirely new system, and it works. It just works great, which is, a huge relief. That was one of the major things that I had to get through. By the way, yeah, because I'm in debug mode, I can just spawn guys whenever I want like this. I'll just keep doing this while we're waiting. I recoded that. I also recoded this code for how people get sent to tables. By the way, this is something, again, I always say this, but it's going a bit slow because of my recording software. This is not the regular speed of the game. Yeah, so I recoded pathfinding. I recoded pathing to tables. And I also recoded and redesigned how sprites are drawn for guests and made it more modular. So if you look at these guys here, for example, you can see how there's like little ale kind of steins there, like here and like here. And those used to be like burnt into, as we say, the character sprite. But now they're not. They're drawn onto the character separately over the top, or behind, as it may be. And I figured out how to do that even though they're scaled, right? So I used to burn them into them because the characters get smaller the further they are away. So he's a bit smaller now, then he's a bit closer. And I didn't know how to make that work and with scaling. So I used to burn them into them. But then I found out a way to make that all work. So that's all done as well. So it means that when I go ahead and in the near future now, as I keep saying, add more guest types, what I have is already a system in place which is really kind of modular, and I just have to swap in and out some of the pieces. So those same drinks there can be reused for all of the characters who are drinking ales and so on and so forth. So that was a lot of behind the scenes, under the hood, just ripping out code, rewriting it, organizing it, clarifying it, simplifying it. I first started on this project without having coded much in 10 years, and there was a lot of ridiculous stuff I was doing that I was able to simplify like massively, which was really cool. But it wasn't really anything that I could really make a video about and talk about just by itself. So that had to wait till now, when I've finally added some more features as well to talk about, which I have. Awesome. What are they? Let's just get a bit of a fire going here. Here we go. Alright, so one thing I did, maybe you've noticed, but the screen isn't really moving when I move. Even if I come over to here, for example, the screen's really fixed. And one thing I've changed about this game now is that I realized that based on the type of game it is, having a zoom function was kind of like a cheap way to get out of having to actually dynamically adjust the size of the screen depending on what monitor it's playing on, because it just doesn't make sense. There is a fixed game space here that we're dealing with, right? And you really want that to be what's shown, no matter who's playing the game, what size monitor, what size display, what's going on in these 4 tables, the bar, this area, that's the game space, right? And so if I kind of have the camera following the guy too carefully, say I walk over to here, right, and then this table over here on the right, I can't see what's going on there, then that means I'm always going to have to be walking back and forth and trying to keep an eye on everybody, which is really definitely something you don't want. So here's what it does instead now. If I walk over here, right, at a certain point, it'll let me see what's here, because who knows, maybe there'll be something there later and you just want to be able to see it, right? But if I walk back, very quickly at that point again, it snaps back to showing the whole screen, right? So you can see over there, but it's really forcing this central part of the common room to be where the camera, the view is fixed, like this again over here as well. Yeah. And along with that, I also fixed the code for how the game, the GUI, so the GUI elements, where they're being drawn, because this is actually being programmed now on a different computer with a different resolution to it, the one I was using before last year. I did get a new computer, which is awesome, and it's got a much better resolution, which is nice, but that forced me, of course, to actually make my GUI being drawn dynamically instead of cheating and doing it manually like I used to. Get some drinks going here. Alright, so that's one simple little thing. We'll just start with the small things first, work our way up. What's the cool thing I can show you now? Let's just see here. I don't know if you can notice here. I might have to make it more obvious, but there's a little bit of a door here. So if you go through here, shoo, we transition like this, right? So this is the kitchen. Of course, there's nothing in here. There's no, table. There's no kind of fire or anything like that. But eventually, what you'll have is a little area where you've got stores of different food supplies, basic food supplies. You'll have like a cauldron or a roasting area or something like that, and you'll be able to knock up a few different types of food. The idea is that different characters, depending on how wealthy they are, they're going to want to have different types of food. And the same way that you have these ale icons here appear. By the way, those now kind of do this cool little sticking down thing when you mouse over them. In the same way that those appear, you'll also get food icons appearing. Or if you want wine, if they want wine, whatever type of food or drink they want, that will be represented in the icon, and you'll have a certain amount of time to get that for them before they get pissed off and you take a penalty. And so this room is where that will happen, and eventually, you will be able to hire someone who's going to help out, some kitchen boy or something who's going to be helping you out there and bringing things out and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's a big thing there, and the transition there, I don't know if you can really notice, but again, the same thing. The camera isn't just following me. It's either going to be fixed on here or it's fixed on the kitchen like this, and I've tried to make that transition really smooth. It's a bit weird with the lighting on the table there, how that starts to draw too quickly just here, but it's looking pretty good, I think. I'm pretty happy with it, This is cool. See, if I add any other rooms to the game, then it's likely that I'll stick to this kind of system. The idea is that instead of having an actual different room, as far as Game Maker is concerned, that I actually make it all one big room so I can just keep track of everything. Everything's kind of seamless. It seems to fit the style of the game better to do it this way. Okay, here we go. Alright, so final cool feature here is a cellar, which you might have noticed, right? And you can click on that, and this is your cellar GUI. Of course, everything's all temporary. It might look a bit rough, but it does what it needs to do. If I walk away or just click on the door again, do anything like that, it'll close. And then when you're in here, clicking anywhere on here like this, nothing's going to be picked up, right? And it's really quite nice how, because I hadn't done anything like this before, but you can see my cursor over the woodpile, off the woodpile, over, off. So it's very, very much like a dead zone here, and it only responds to what's actually in the GUI. So this is a representation, of course, of the barrels underneath the bar top, and we can mouse over to see what we have. So there's 11 pints of average quality ale there, which of course we can see here. There it is. But we also have some extra barrels here. Now, of course, right now it's all the same stuff, right? It's all ale of average quality, and eventually, that's a little bit weird what's going on there, but anyway. Eventually there'll be different types, right? So you'll be able to get mead, and you'll be able to get wine, and so on and so forth of different qualities. And if you mix a high quality with a low quality of the same thing, then the quality's going to kind of average out, so on and so forth. If you water something down, it'll go down. And you can now drag barrels around like this. Pretty cool, right? So when you buy a barrel, it'll be deposited down here. And then depending on what kind of guests you've got and what kind of needs you foresee, you're going to want to be swapping these around like this. So if I pop that up there like that, now you can see there's 1, 2, a bit dark, but there we have 2. If I put that there up that, we have 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'll just grab a bit of ale from there, give to this guy. And there we go. For those of you who aren't really familiar with the goal of this game, the idea is to have a bunch of different guests coming in, and each day, each new day, because right now it's day 1, we have a new type of guest. Now, I'll just speed up time here. Speaking of days, just speed up time a bit. I'll show you one last final feature here. There we go. Day 2. There we go, just like that. So every time a new day starts, it types it like this. It displays it, which is a nice little thing I thought would be cool. So going back to what I was saying, sorry. Every new day, so this is day 2, instead of just commoners, we'll now have commoners and soldiers, or commoners and tinkers, or whatever, merchants. Day 3, we have a new person. Day 4, a new person. And each new person, when they're introduced, I'm going to have a GUI for them as well. And so that'll be like a little guest book, something here on the table you can click on. The same way you can click on the cellar. You'll be able to click on a guest directly and also access it from a sub icon or something like that. But the idea of a guest book is you can flip through everyone who's ever visited so far, even if they're not in the room, in order to get some information. And that'll show you who they are, what they like to eat and drink, who they like, who they dislike. It's like a little bestiary of character types. And that'll just slowly ramp up. So you're going to be juggling more and more types of guests. It's going to get more and more complicated to try and stop them from fighting and stuff like that. And that's going to be the next feature, I think, something like adding an extra guest type, getting an extra type of drink, say wine, for example, having guests be able to kind of argue with each other or fight, and maybe a bit of destruction or something like that. So that's the short-term goal. It should make the game already feel a lot more like a game. Then I'll have to add saving, a few things like that. So that's what we're looking at over the next few months. It's a really cool project. I really like it. I can't believe it's been a year since I started, and I really want to keep going with this. It's okay if it takes another couple of years to knock out. I do have other commitments, but I want to keep doing this in my free time, a little bit here and there, and I'll keep everybody up to date with how it goes. Thank you very much for people who've sent messages of support and so on, and said they like what I'm doing. And I appreciate it. And I've also gone ahead and added a little donate button to the bottom of the webpage, so you can give me some money via PayPal if you want to buy me a beer, a craft beer of some kind. That would be appreciated too. Thanks a lot, everybody, and I'll see you hopefully not too far in the future, like within a few weeks instead of a few months. All right, see ya till next time.